Hello and welcome to FlowDNA's 4th edition of the Lockdown tutorial series. Today we're going to be looking at poi tosses. For this one we'll need poi with knob handles. Not necessarily factory made, but hold up, just check that view again. Man, that's good. Anyways, so don't worry if you don't have proper handles. My first ones were a few sinkers tied to the ends of soft poi. I don't recommend that, but get creative. First is how to hold these handles. You really can hold them however you like, but these are a few that I mostly use. This pinch grip with the tip of the thumb and index finger, or deeper between my thumb and palm, or here between my index and middle finger. I also sometimes catch my poi like this, or like this. Again, you can really do whatever feels most comfortable to you. Before we get into actual tosses, a note on 0 points. So this is what I know as a 0 point. The point at which your poi stops going up and just before it starts going back down. Practice these before starting tosses and really focus on feeling where that floating point is. Next, try reaching the same point while spinning your poi instead of using pendulums. Take note that you'll be spinning backwards when doing this. An Inspin toss is when the handle follows its original trajectory after being tossed. These are performed by letting go of the poi while exerting a little bit of downward force, usually with your thumb like this. To do a floating toss, you'll mostly just be letting the poi go at a certain point, somewhere around here where the poi is parallel to the ground. Notice how the handle keeps its trajectory and flips around to land back in your hand. Also notice how the main movement of the poi head is vertical and not so much horizontal. Poi move strangely in the air, and all poi are different. Factors like the weight, length, and weight ratio between your head and handles will all affect how you toss. So this will take some experimentation and getting used to. Another distinct kind of Inspin toss is the isolated toss. Instead of letting the poi head travel up and down, you're going to try isolate the poi head during the toss. This is done by giving a healthy downward flick as the poi is approaching a 0 point. Palm down Inspin tosses can be a sneaky and stylish way to toss your poi. Spin inwards on the wall plane in front of you, and as the poi is coming up and over on the outside, turn your hand to face palm down, letting the poi head stall horizontally on the outside. Don't worry about stalling neatly, just let the poi stop and get used to the feeling of turning your hand face palm down. Now we're going to try letting the poi go, around where the poi is parallel to the ground. Notice here that your arm is not rotating while tossing the poi or going past here. The action is in your wrist. Turn your hand back over to catch the handle on its way back down. Overhead tosses have a bit more flair to them. They are performed by letting the poi go just a little later than with normal floating tosses. Somewhere around here, roughly just under a 45-degree angle to the ground. You'll then let the poi go over your head and come down on the other side. You'll also need to give a minor downward flick with your thumb. When you catch this toss, notice that the poi will be spinning in the same direction, as opposed to changing direction as with previous tosses. A quick note on catching. When you catch your poi, it is not essential to catch the handle. You can really catch anywhere on the tether and just let the poi slide down till the handle lands between your fingers. Here is a nifty variation that makes it easier to throw and catch with one hand. Spin inwards on a wall plane using your non-native hand and do an overhead toss like we just did, catching with the same hand you tossed with but on the other side of your body. You can also do a palm down overhead toss. This is what it looks like on a wall plane. And here's what it looks like on a wheel plane. This one comes up behind you. You let go pretty much as soon as you can see your poi head. Notice how it comes up under your elbow. Get creative with these tosses. Try throwing it behind your back, under your legs, under your other arm, whatever you can come up with. An anti-spin toss is when the handle changes its original trajectory. Remember 0 points? This is where they really come into play. Practice a few first, then just as you're about to hit that 0 point, do a hard flick upwards, isolating the head of the poi. Flick with your fingers like this. You'll then catch this toss by slapping your hand down on the tether. Using the same principle, you can also do helicopter tosses, which change the plane the poi are spinning on during the toss from vertical to horizontal. You can flick the handle inwards and catch between your thumb and palm, or outwards. I find catching with my middle and index finger easiest here. These are tricky, and inwards is definitely the easier of the two. Now for my favorites, no beats. First, I'd like you to just spin your poi as slow as you can. Try spin them so that this flop right here happens. And then try feel how much force you have to put in on the downbeats to just get those tethers straight. Any force you put on the poi should be somewhere between here and here. Now we're going to try letting the poi go so that we're not holding onto the poi at the top of the swing. The sweet spot for letting go is about here. Try and isolate the handle by giving a little bit of backwards force as you let go. This right here is a really good drill to get used to no beats. Spin backwards on a wheel plane in split time and try to continuously do no beat tosses. Be patient, it takes a lot of time to get this clean. Once you've got it down, try touching different parts of your body in between tosses. This is super challenging but really fun. This is the way I like to catch a backwards no beat. With this toss, one needs to give a good pull backwards as you let go of your poi. Turn your hand around and let the tether connect with your arm. Then let it slide down your arm and catch it in what's known as a penguin catch. Here are a few ways you can catch a forward no beat. The first is a reverse grip. This requires little movement from your hand, comes up and over the back of your hand and is caught in between your thumb and palm. The second is palm up. Let the tether slide between your palm and thumb when you catch this one. Toss with your palm down, thumb facing in, and catch with your palm up, thumb facing out. The slap down is tossed in the same way as palm up, but is caught by bringing your hand down on top of the tether and handle. Palm up and slap down can also be tossed up from under the shoulder like this. Tosses are fun, challenging, and they look great. There's tons to work and experiment with, so have fun.